Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. It's been a long time since I was on stage in this room. I'm going to come back to this. I'm actually more of a writer now, and I don't do a lot of stage stuff. But this is just a couple of the shows I was involved in while I was at Viewpoint. And I really only want to talk about two of them specifically for a moment, and then I want to talk about what they mean to me now, 5 years out of high school. So these two pictures were taken 3 years apart. That one down there was taken in the dressing rooms under the theater in Thousand Oaks where we used to have to do our shows before the Carlson was built. And then the one in the top over there was taken like back there. So what are they? Well, this one is from my stint as the wickedest witch in Oz as an 8th grader. And the top is from Macbeth when I was the first witch. Please admire my prosthetic werewolf nose. Well, cosmetic achievements aside, what do these two pictures have in common? Well, they were two really important times in my awkward teenage life when I was able and actually encouraged to embrace and unleash my inner self. I'm a witch. I'm a witch. I'm being serious, and I mean from my top to my toe, in my heart and my soul and my flesh and blood and bones, I am a witch. You're laughing. I think I can explain a little more. So we've all heard of being burned at the stake, right? Fun. So this was the medieval punishment for anyone, usually women, who were suspected of being or practicing witchcraft. And that was expressly forbidden all over the Old Testament, but most succinctly right there. So, the abject fear of witches was actually such a big deal for such a long time that it was written into the governing laws of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which actually ended up causing some problems in Salem in 1692. And why am I interested in painting myself with that brush? Well, apart from being related to a Salem witch who was tried, convicted, and executed, I actually have studied witches and have become so fascinated with them that I have come to an incredibly important conclusion. And that is that in every country that has documented accusations of sorcerers, witches, warlocks, whatever you want to call them, the accused have one major trait in common, and that is that they pose a serious threat to the status quo. Unmarried women, educated women, women who picked fights, and women who weren't afraid to thumb their noses at antiquated beliefs, they were called witches for centuries, when really all they were was different. They were the other. They refused to fit into the norm, and they threatened to upend the system. But how does this all relate to me, standing here in front of you a few days before Halloween, a decade and a half into the 21st century? What does witchcraft, apart from a mildly interesting piece of ancestral history, have to do with who I am as an aspiring writer? Well, one of the most important things I have ever learned is that if you want to write anything, the first thing that needs to go out the window is your inhibitions. You need to accept all the weird that you have bottled up inside you and then just let it out. It's taken me a really long time, but I am cultivating a streak of witchy otherness in myself. I am independent. I am strange. And it's because I have accepted my lot in life as a witch, and because I have this core belief that the world can always stand a little bit of upending, that I have also been able to find my voice as a writer. And then in turn, I've found that it's possible for me to give voice to amazing characters, particularly women and girls, and the power they wield, and how that power can be channeled into something earth-shattering if they can just disentangle themselves from the way things are. So, if you're independent, if you value your ability to speak your mind and stand your ground, then I encourage you to never let that go. Let it grow bigger and swell up inside you and fill your heart and lungs until it just explodes out of you. And you find your best way to step forward and say, I am different. I am other. I am a witch.